so now we're out at Uranus, and again, you can see it's got its rings. You can see its tilt over at 90 degrees, very unusual. A couple of its moons there. And Uranus is the first discovered planet, right? Everything we've seen up till now, not counting the asteroids and comets, but the planets that we've seen up till now, we always knew they were there, because even if you go back millions of years to whatever our human ancestors were that were looking up at the sky, they would have seen them. Whether they meant anything to them, we don't know. But all the way up through, written history and so on, those were the planets that were known because you could see them. But Uranus, nobody knew about until it was discovered in 1786, something like that. I don't know. It's not on here. It was actually seen, it's visible to the naked eye, but nobody noticed its motion because it's so far away, its orbital motion is very slow, and it's so dim that it wasn't drawing attention the way the other planets were. So until the Herschels, the two of them, William and Caroline, discovered Uranus, no one had known that it was a planet. And well, I'll tell you the rest of the story about that when we get to Neptune, but should pause for a moment before we walk out to Neptune. Are there any other questions you want to ask before we keep going?
How was this discovered? Through telescopes?
Yeah. So William Herschel and Caroline Herschel, they're brother and sister. They worked as a pair, and they built big telescopes, the biggest telescopes in the world at that time in the 1700s, late part of the 1700s. And yeah, they made a lot of discoveries. Herschel, actually, one of my favorite stories about Herschel, so he also discovered that Mars has polar caps and has a rotation period similar to the Earth. So he, naturally, if you have the same rotation period and you also have polar caps, and about the same tilt, he figured, okay, it's Earth-like, it's got Martians. Pretty obvious, right? And Herschel, he just kind of came to the conclusion that everything in the solar system had life, including the sun, because they didn't really understand, right, that the temperature, there was no way to know the temperature of the sun, things like that at the time. So yeah, Herschel just assumed there was life throughout the entire solar system. So if he came now and we said, well, we don't know of any life anywhere yet, and we're hoping maybe we'll find, he'd be very disappointed. He wouldn't be surprised that we think there might be life. He'd be surprised that we don't think there's life all over the place. So kind of an interesting perspective.
And speaking of, it wasn't just pointing a telescope in a spot. Since I have a former physics professor here, I need to make him proud. Part of it was Kepler's laws and all the gravitational.
Well, that's our Neptune story.
So
we're going to come back.
Look, which is coming up.
Yeah, we're going to come back to that. For Uranus, it was just seeing it there and noticing its motion. So let's head down to Neptune.